Hi, my name is Justin and this is Nooks Cooks. Today I'm going to cook Ukoy. Ukoy is a vegetable and shrimp fritter and a common street food in the Philippines. Sometimes you'll see it spelled with the letter U, sometimes you'll see it spelled with the letter O. They're the same exact thing, they're interchangeable. Ukoy, Ukoy, same thing. And I didn't even grow up with the name Ukoy. I didn't even know that name until I was older because I grew up with the Kapampangan name Baruya. I have a fond memory of my family visiting, and I had all these aunties over and they were cutting up all these vegetables and they made baruya for the first time, and it was quickly one of my favorite dishes. I'm gonna attempt to do something slightly different today. I'm gonna make two versions of the same dish and it's gonna make sense in a little bit and I'll explain it. So this is the first version of the fritter. I'm gonna be using a kabocha squash or kalabasa, onion, carrots, green onion, and bean sprouts. This is the second version. I've actually never made this before, so we're gonna see how it turns out. I talked to my parents, I read online, I read in some books, and I found that this was a common version that's also done. So this is a green papaya. It's an unripe papaya. We have yams or sweet potato, also known as kamote, and we're also going to be using yellow onion. For both Ukoy, I'm gonna use the same batter, starting with all-purpose flour, cornstarch, baking powder, kosher salt, an egg, water, and this is annatto powder. It comes from the annatto seed, and this is gonna be used mainly for coloring. It doesn't really add any flavor. The Ukoy are gonna be topped with shrimp. Traditionally in the Philippines, they use these tiny shrimp, but those are not readily available here, so I'm gonna use these big shrimp, and I kinda like it for the dramatics because you have this tiny fritter or a medium-sized fritter, but there's a giant shrimp on it, and it makes for a nice little bite. You can fry them all the way through and you can eat the skin. Ukoy would not be complete without a dipping sauce. In Tagalog, this is called a sawsawan. In Kapampangan, I grew up with it known as tiltilan. And the tiltilan that I grew up with was very simple. We use white cane vinegar, garlic, and black pepper. If you want it to be a little bit spicier, you can add some chilies. I've seen shallots or red onions put in, but I like to keep it nice and simple. There's potentially a lot of prep work in this dish, so first I started with a knife, and for some of the vegetables it took way too long, and if you love knife work, go for it. So I moved on to the box grater, and that was a lot faster than the knife, but not as efficient as I would like. So ultimately I found myself going to the food processor using the grating attachment, and this ended up being the best option for me. If you have this, I taste tested side by side with the ones that were using the box grater / knife versus the one using the food processor, and ultimately they were indistinguishable between each other.
Start by cutting the kabocha squash in half. These can be pretty tough, so I had to bring out the cleaver to cut it in half. Then scoop out the seeds. One tip for making it easier to work with kabocha squash is put it in the microwave for a minute to minute and a half to soften it up. Then cut off the skin. And cut down the kabocha squash to a manageable size for the food processor. Peel carrots, remembering to cut off the tip and the stem. Peel and slice an onion. Then by hand, I separated out the onion into individual slices. and roughly chopped green onion. Shred the kabocha squash with the food processor using the grating attachment. And then do the same with the carrots. In a large bowl, add the shredded kabocha squash, shredded carrot, bean sprouts, sliced onion, green onions, and mix it all by hand. Add in flour to absorb some of the moisture and mix it again. Now for the green papaya ukoy, we're going to cut the green papaya in half and then remove the seeds.
Oh no.
Peel off the skin and then cut it down to manageable sized pieces for the food processor. Peel and cut white sweet potatoes to manageable sizes for the food processor. Shred the green papaya in the food processor. Then shred the white sweet potatoes. The green papaya is going to have a lot of moisture in it, and that's not going to be great for frying. So here I'm bringing out as much water as I can. Ideally, I would do this with a cheesecloth. Now to put together the green papaya mix, starting with the green papaya, sliced sweet potatoes, and sliced onions, and then mix by hand. Add in some all-purpose flour and mix it again. Now for the batter, add in all-purpose flour, cornstarch, baking powder, kosher salt, and mix. Slowly mix in 3 cups of water. An egg, and annatto powder. You don't have to use an exact amount here, just enough till you get the color that you want. Once you're done, you'll have a thin pancake-like batter. Now for the dipping sauce. Minced garlic, add the minced garlic to the white cane vinegar, and finish it off with freshly cracked black pepper. Now to put it all together, start with 2 large spoonfuls of vegetable mix. Then add a couple of spoonfuls of batter. Just enough so that when mixed in, the formed patty can keep its shape. Top it off with 1 large shrimp and really push it in there so it stays together. The frying oil should be about 350 degrees Fahrenheit. You can use an oil thermometer, look for shimmering oil, or use a test vegetable piece to see if it bubbles. Now pick up the ukoy patty with a couple of spatulas and gently lower it into the frying oil. I like to push in the shrimp to secure it and then also push it down so it makes the ukoy wide and thin as it can be. Make sure to move it around every once in a while so it doesn't burn. Once the bottom is golden brown, flip it over. Once the Ukoy is evenly cooked, transfer it to a rack or paper towel to drain and add a pinch of salt while it's still hot. And here's the entire process over again using the green papaya Ukoy mix.
Okay, the Ukoy is done. Let's give it a taste. We have the two different types. We have the one that's right in front of me that's made with squash, and then the one over here is green papaya. So let's start with the one that I'm more familiar with, and let's put this tiltilan or sawsawan on there. And then, I said it before, but because this shrimp is fried really well, you can bite all the way through the skin. Oh, it's still very crunchy. Ready? Mmm. Okay. Mmm. So the one with the squash, it almost tastes like a sweet potato fry. Not even kidding. I think that just because how well it's fried, yeah, it's like a fry, like a sweet potato fry. Okay, and then let's take a bite of the one made with the green papaya. My guess is this one's gonna be a little bit, let's see. It's not gonna be as crispy because we had to wring out all that water, and I bet you there's still a lot of water in the green papaya. All right, put a little bit of this on there. Rotate that. Okay. You know, it's crispier than I thought. And I think the flavor is a lot milder. I mean, there's only onions and sweet potato in there in addition to the green papaya. So you don't have much of a range of the ingredients that were in the one with the squash. But still very good. I probably still prefer the one with the squash over the green papaya. I would try or eat any of them any day. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Leave a comment down below what your favorite fried food is, and remember to like and subscribe. Peace!